Olivier.
Yeah.
What was the decision-making process there, and just what was the excitement level you think he had?
I mean, listen, he's put in a lot of great work, and to his credit, he's kept a great attitude without getting a lot of reward in terms of playing time and opportunity. And he went into this year knowing that our ability to get the front court to come back was going to limit his opportunities. I think he was pretty excited. It's pretty neat for him to finally see the floor. I would have liked him to get a touch. But Meek was kind of cooking out there, and some other guys were getting some shots, and there's people yelling at me at halftime about playing them, and I was just like, listen, it'll happen. The time will come. And I'm, as you guys, I can be stubborn. I don't listen to direction very well at times. So when they're yelling at me to do it, it kind of is like, all right, maybe I'll wait a little longer.
Welcome to Southeast Sports Plus hour number 2. That is the coach of the defending national champion Florida Gators, talking about another record. Yes. The SEC set a record last year with 14 teams in the Big Dance, and Florida was the final team cutting the nets in San Antonio as the national champion. I think the record they have this year is even cooler. They just put on the floor 7'9" Olivier Rioux, and he officially becomes the tallest player to play in a college basketball game.
I mean, look at the basketball. It looks like a
grape in his hands.
It's like one of those basketballs you give like your toddler.
Yes, exactly.
And he just goes and dunks it on the mini hoop. I mean, that's actually it looks like when he plays basketball that he's just playing on the mini hoop. Yep. When he's like 5 years old.
It's insane.
I mean, look at that. Like, it's unreal.
Just how big he is. 104-60 floor. Florida beating North Florida. And they're in that matchup because Florida was winning so much. Ryu got into the game, and you heard Coach Golden say that it was, honestly, I watched a clip of right before, because obviously they were winning the game by a million. Right. They were going to put him in. But the moment, because once you get up by 40 points, people just kind of on their phones checking out, whatever. But as soon as Ryu took his warm-ups off and he was about to check into the game, you would have thought that Florida was going on this like 13-1 run because the crowd just goes crazy. And you heard from Coach Golden kind of tongue-in-cheek saying, I thought about just bitching him, keeping him on the sideline for just a little bit, but. It's a cool energy to be able to have that kind of guy get in there and then be able, for his sake, to be able to get on the court.
Yeah, I have two things about what you just said. First of all, my varsity basketball coach, Coach Thompson, if you're watching this, thanks for kind of playing with the fans the one time I got in the game. I was last off the bench in high school. I was never good at basketball.
We saw some of those videos, by the way. They're great.
Maybe on Monday I'll play one of them on here just so that way I can publicly shame myself. But there was one game where we were up by a lot against a team that just wasn't really that good. Mm. And so he comes over to me. I think I got in maybe 4 or 5 games that year.
Right.
He comes over to me at the end of the bench, and he's like, hey. So I know the fans, like the student section, really wants you to get in the game. But what you're going to do is you're going to go over, act like you're checking in with the scorer's table, but actually go and just get a drink of water from the water fountain. So I kid you not. I'm like, all right, coach, I got you. And then I get up, and I start running. The crowd goes crazy, absolutely nuts. It would have, like you mentioned, it would have been like, we just went on like a 20-0 run.
Right.
And then I went over to the water fountain, and everyone was like, oh, boo. I did end up getting into the game.
I love the fact that your coach was so forward-thinking and was just like, you know what? How about this? We're winning this game by a lot. Let's poke the bear a little bit with these fans here. Honestly, I just love it. But you said he did put you in.
He put me in. I made a layup that game. That was 2 of 8 points I scored that year.
Hey, that year.
That year.
Okay.
But on the other side, when I went to the Final Four this past year, going back to Florida, and I was just walking in the tunnels underneath the Alamo Dome.
Right.
And I just saw, I knew about Olivier, but I didn't know exactly what he looked like.
Right.
And how tall he actually was. So I just see all of these, I think it was like Thomas Haw and Alex Condon were just like walking by.
Right.
I'm like, is that Olivier? And then I see a guy that is honestly, I kid you not, he was this close from hitting the ceiling with his head.
Wow.
Walking down.
Yeah. Uh-huh.
And I'm just looking at him like
that is just, it's insane.
Like,
yeah.
hello, how can someone be that tall?
And like it just like makes you wonder like how do they live, you know. Everything about your life is so different.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And I know that he's in a basketball culture right now, so he's with a lot of taller people, but he is taller than a lot of even those tall people. You know what I mean?
These guys are like 6'8".
Yes,
and they're making him look small.
Correct. That's the biggest thing. This is a hilarious picture, by the way, an absolutely hilarious picture. But I know you and I are not at basketball practice, so we don't get this chance to see him. Do they think that he's got enough in his game to help develop where he can actually be a consistent, maybe not even a starter, but just a guy that can go give you 8 to 12 minutes a game?
Yeah, I think so. But the only problem, and Todd Golden mentioned it in that soundbite, when you have Alex Condon and Thomas Haw, who both were major contributors down the stretch for Florida in their national championship run last year, it almost feels like you're handcuffed right there. You're just stuck waiting.
Right.
And I think he's going to get his chance. It's just probably not going to be this year, barring an injury to one of them.
Right.
But honestly, I could see like a Taco Fall type comparison.
Okay. Yeah.
I mean, we remember going back to, I believe it was 2018, 2019, the most hyped up game in March Madness, in my opinion, was Duke UCF. Taco Fall versus Zion Williamson.
Yeah.
And Zion, I don't remember if Zion did dunk on Taco Fall. I think he tried to.
Yeah, I know he tried. To, and I don't know if he actually successfully pulled it off or not. I feel like he dunked over everybody, but I remember that just being an interesting time of year. They were in the NCAA championship with another huge basketball player. But Florida does get the win, and it's all smiles because Rioux comes in. But they don't look very great. And this is a team that did not look great in their season opener against Arizona earlier in the week. And now coming out, okay, North Florida, they were supposed to beat North Florida, but maybe some growing concerns. How do you break down this team after 80 minutes?
Well, I think some people are going to be like, well, how can you not look great even though you score 104 points?
Right.
And my thing for that is you still can't hit the three-pointer. And that's going to be a problem going forward. I think about what gets you through March Madness. Great coaching, great guard play. We saw that last year with Will Richard and Walter Clayton. We haven't really seen Xavier Lee and Boogie Fland come into their own yet. Lee and Haw combined against North Florida, 4 for 14 from beyond the arc. And then Fland still is yet to hit a three-pointer this year.
Yeah.
And you could make the argument that he was the number one transfer or number one guard in the transfer portal at one point. So when you shoot 22%, 13 for 59 through 2 games, that's definitely something that needs to be cleaned up for Florida. I'm not too worried. Like I said, you got to expect some regression this year. I don't think that they're going to be a number 1 seed.
Right.
I'm still sticking to the 3 or the 4 seed, but they'll still win a lot of games. I bet you everyone plays each other once or twice, home and home, right? I bet you they steal a game against Arkansas, they steal a game against Kentucky, enough to get them into that consideration for being a top 4 seed.
Right.
And it's just, to me, it's going to be, can the guards acclimate themselves? Obviously, Xavier Lee coming over from Princeton hasn't really played. Outside of Arizona, I mean, he hasn't really played competition, not in March, quite like that.
Right, exactly right. There was one bright spot offensively for this basketball team without Alex Condon, who dropped 25 points, 8 of 12 from the field, hit 9 of his 10 free throws. There in the matchup, we got a chance to hear from Coach Golden on Condon.
Coming back from Vegas, we took Tuesday off, practiced yesterday, and he just had a great mentality. You know, he wasn't feeling sorry for himself or making excuses. He was just like, I'm going to get back to it and get back to what I know. And I thought he did a great job kind of letting the game come to him, being aggressive when he needed to, and had obviously a very efficient night, 25, 10, and 4 assists, only 1 turnover, 2 steals, 3 blocks. I mean, just an insane All-American level type night. So, you know, he was disappointed. We were all disappointed with how Monday went, but I thought he answered the bell the right way tonight.
So North Florida was the first home game for this basketball team, and then of course we'll play Florida State coming up next. It's the sandwich game. There's 3 straight games against teams out of the state of Florida: North Florida, Florida State, and Miami. This is a really interesting matchup here against the Seminoles.
Yeah, Luke Locks was just hired as the Florida State head coach here this year, and he actually played against Florida, as you can see here, back in his playing days. He's a Florida State alum, so he knows what it's like to play in an ACC conference where, yeah, you could make the argument that the ACC fell off last year. We don't know what the ACC is going to look like this year.
Right.
But I feel like Florida State could come into this game and turn some heads. And it's going to be very important for Florida to just handle business because Florida should win this game.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be surprised if they won by at least 17. I know my last prediction, I was one off with basketball.
That's very true. Yeah.
Maybe they'll win by 16 this time.
Yeah.
But I see Florida. The problem that I saw with Florida coming into the year was, what are you going to get out of your guards? And I think eventually, as time goes on, Boogie Fland, he'll be fine. He's just got to get into Todd Golden's system. And then Xavier Lee, he's just got to slow the game down a little bit. The other problem was, who's gonna be better, Alex Condon or Thomas Haw? And it feels like Haw came out. We thought he was going to be that guy.
Right.
And then Condon comes out and is the guy this game. So, I mean, that's a good problem to have.
For sure. Absolutely a good problem to have. And they got deep into their bench last game. You expect maybe so this game. I didn't realize I just had to check the ESPN matchup predictor because I don't see a line on the game. I'm sure there is one. I don't see one as of yet, but the line, the predictor for the ESPN analytics is 93.8%. Florida winning. That would be something that I would put against North Florida, not against Florida State, but they're saying that the Gators are way superior.
Yeah, and the only thing I could see probably about that is Florida State hasn't really been good in a few years, and who knows what Luke Locks has brought to this program. We don't really know. This will be their first true test. I know they won in their opener, so it'll be interesting to see. This is one of those where on paper it's like, man, why would I really want to watch that? But I feel like this could be a pretty entertaining matchup.
No, absolutely. No doubt. And